So today we're working on chapter 2.4. Okay, we only have today and block day's notes, and then we're going to be ready to take our test. Okay, so we're on chapter 2.4, and we are going to solve equations. Solve equations with variables. Solve equations with variables on both sides. Solve equations with variables on both sides. So before we start, let's make sure we all understand what exactly it is we're doing. Okay, what does it mean to solve something?
Get the answer.
Get an answer. Okay, so solve is get an answer. How do you know if something is an equation? It has an equal sign. What's a variable? A letter. Okay. And what does that mean if solve equations with variables or letters on both sides? Both sides of what? Of the equals sign. Okay. So up until now, we've had to do multi-step equations or two-step equations, but we haven't had variables or letters on both sides. So your instructions for all of these problems are going to be to solve. Okay, so that means get an answer, get a letter by itself. And for example number 1, I would like you to solve 7x plus 4 equals 9x. 7x plus 4 equals 9x. So before we get started, I'm going to give you a couple of steps that we always want to follow. Okay, you're not always going to have to do every single one of these steps, but I want to make sure that you know them just in case. Okay, so step 1 is always to combine like terms. Step 1 is to combine like terms. And first you're going to do it on the left side. Okay, so combine like terms on the left side. If combine like terms on the left side is your first step, what do you think is the next step? Combine like terms on the right side, exactly. Okay, then we're going to combine like terms, but this time on the right side. And when we're talking about sides, we're talking about sides of the equals sign. Step 3 is to move variables to one side. Okay, so we're going to move our variables, move the letters all to be on one side. Step 4 is to move numbers to the opposite side. So you want to have numbers and letters on opposite sides. Say again? Oh, I thought you said something. Move numbers to opposite side, and then your last step is to solve. Now, you probably all kind of knew those steps because I think that you've done them before, but I just wanted to make sure that we were kind of all on the same page and we knew where to start. So, for this first one, are there any like terms on the left side? Can I combine 7x and a 4? No. Are there any like terms on the right side? No. There's nothing there to combine, so we really get to skip step 1 and 2. So step 3 is to move the variables to one side of the equation. So which side would you want to move these to? Would I want to move the 7x or the 9x?
9.
You'd want to move the 7x. Why would you want to move the 7x? You always want to move the smaller one. Okay, so just keep in mind that we always want to move the smaller one. So since 7x is smaller, I'm going to move it to the other side. How can I move that? What would you do to move the 7x? Subtract it. So 7x, we're going to subtract. And if you subtract from one side, you have to subtract from the other side. Okay, does anyone know what that's called when we add or subtract something? It's called using the additive inverse. Okay, it's undoing the addition. So these go away. This is going to leave us with 4 equals 9x minus 7x is what, Mark? Well, let's think about it. I know. 9x minus 7x.
I don't know. 2x?
2x. Okay. Now, we have numbers and letters on opposite sides, so how could I solve? Divide both sides by what? 2. So, what is that called when I multiply or divide something to solve? Multiplicative inverse, right. So, these 2's are going to reduce to be a 1. 4 over 2 reduces to be what?
2.
2. So, 2 equals x. And you're done. Okay? Questions on how I did that? So, have you guys done this before?
This is easier than our last two lessons.
Good.
No, there's more stuff.
Okay, let's try another one. For number 2. For number 2, let's try 3x minus 2 equals 8x plus 13. 3x minus 2, yes, equals 8x plus 13. 3x minus 2 equals 8x plus 13. So, is there anything that we need to combine on the left side? No. Is there anything that needs to combine on the right side? No. So, what would you do first? We want to move do you want to move the numbers or the letters first? It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to say we always generally want to move the letters first, okay? So, which one would you move? Would you move the 3x or the 8x? The 3x because it's smaller. So, to move the 3x, what do you have to do? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Subtract 3x. So if you subtract it from one side, you have to be equal and fair. You have to subtract it from the other side. These go away, so we got negative 2 equals, what's 8x minus 3x? 5x plus 13. Then what? Then I'm going to move the 13, right? Now, it seems like 2 is smaller, right? But we actually want to move the 13 because you want the numbers and the letters to be on opposite sides of each other. Otherwise, you just have to move them again. So we always move it so it's going to be on the opposite side. So we would subtract 13 from both sides. How do you do negative 2 minus 13? You're really adding them together, right? So remember, same signs, you add them together and keep the sign. So negative 15 equals 5x. Thank you. Okay, so negative 15 equals 5x. How do you get rid of this 5? How do we undo that multiplication? Divide it. So use the multiplicative inverse. So we divide both sides by 5. These go away. So you get x by itself. What's negative 15 divided by 5? Negative 3. That's your answer. Now, could you check your answers here? How could we check our answers to see if we got them right? You could plug them back in. Okay, so if you would like to, you can always check your answers by plugging them back into your original equation. Okay, now I would like you to open up your books. Let's look at page 146. Okay, let's look at page 146, and we're going to do the got it's A and B on page 146. Page 146. Let's look at the got it A and B all the way at the bottom of the page. All the way at the bottom of the page, let's look at A and B, and I would like you to try these, please. 146, page 146. Okay, if we can't keep from talking, then you're going to have to move, guys. So, page 146, open it up, get it done. Do it. So do problems A and B. Let's do problems A and B. Okay, once you think you have an answer, check with the person sitting next to you. See if you guys got the same answer. Okay, what did we get for problem A for an answer? Rihanna.
I think if my visit was repeating.
For A?
Yeah.
Okay, how did you get that? What did you do first?
I subtracted 5A.
Okay, so if you subtract 5A from both sides, what'd you get?
2. Wait, 3.
3. So 3A equals 21. And then how do you get A by itself?
Divide.
Divide both sides by what?
3.
By 3. So what's 21 divided by 3? 7. I don't know what she did. Okay. But yes, A equals 7. Okay, A equals 7. I think you divided by the 21 maybe. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, you must have. Okay, so A equals 7. Good job. Okay, how about for for letter B? Court, what'd you get for letter B? You got a what? Negative 6. Does anyone else get the same thing? You guys get the same thing or something different?
Same thing.
Okay, so what you should have done is move the 3x, so minus the 3x, subtract 3x. That would leave you with negative 7 equals 5x plus 23. Then we move the 23. And negative 7 and negative 23, those are both negative, so you're really adding. So negative 30 equals 5x.
Negative 6.
And then if you divide both sides by 5, you should get negative 6 equals x. Good job. Okay, anyone have a question on how we did any of these? Not too bad. Okay, let's try another one for example number 3. Okay, for number 3, I would like you to solve. Okay, so remember, get a letter all by itself. Solve 4 times x minus 1 equals 2x plus 10. 4 times x minus 1 equals 2x plus 10. This one's a little bit different than the others. Where do you think you start with this one? Say it again, please. Parentheses. So what do you have to do with the parentheses? Is there anything to do inside the parentheses? No. So what do you have to do with this 4? Distribute it, right? This is called the distributive power. So multiply to both the parts. So 4 times x would give you 4x. 4 times negative 1 gives you minus 4. Equals 2x plus 10. Then, now that we have everything distributed, so there's no parentheses left, now you can move things. What would I move first? Move the 2x, so subtract 2x from both sides. And subtract 2x. 4x minus 2x gives you what? 2x minus 4 equals, these went away, so equals 10. Now what would you move? The 4, so add 4 to both sides. If we add 4, we're going to get 2x. These go away, equals 14. How do you get rid of that 2? Divide it away, so divide both sides by 2. We should get an answer of x equals 7. Okay, hopefully you're realizing that most of these are coming out nice numbers. Okay, you're not going to have anything like super weird fractions or decimals or anything. Any questions?
Can you pull it down so I can copy the rest?
Okay, so you guys let me know when you're doing copying. I have 2 more examples for you.
I'm done.
Okay, next one is going to be a word problem. Okay, you do need to write down the words for right now. Okay, so for example number 4, okay, for example number 4, we're going to say Ted's gym, so Ted owns a gym, and Ted's gym charges a monthly fee of $50 plus $20 per session. Ted's gym charges a monthly fee of $50 plus $20 per session for a personal trainer. Okay. Bob's gym charges $100 per month plus $10 per session with a trainer. I'd like to know, for how many sessions is the cost the same? For how many sessions is the cost the same? So I'm going to let you guys get that written down. So, say you are, does anyone belong to a gym? Does anyone? None of you belong to a gym? Okay, I'm sure some of your parents belong to a gym. Okay, good job. Yay. So, I'm sure some of your parents belong to a gym. Okay, if you are going to, like, if you were going to join a gym, but you also wanted to get a trainer because you have no idea what to do with the gym, okay? And you want to figure out, well, which one should I join? Because I don't know which one is like, better, okay? Which one am I going to pay more for? I don't want to pay, like, if you just looked at that, which one do you think is better? Do you think Ted's gym or Bob's gym? Why do you think Ted's gym is better? Because it seems like it might be cheaper, right? Well, if you plan on only going to the personal trainer like one time a month, then you might be right. But what if you want to go like 20 times in a month? Like you're ready to run a marathon or something like that, and you need to go to the personal trainer. So you want to figure out how many sessions is what's called your break-even point. So how many sessions, if you go to both, would you be equal? Okay, so here we need to write in equations, and that's kind of the difficult part here. So Ted's gym charges a monthly fee of $50 plus $20 per session for a personal trainer. Bob's gym charges $100 per month, but only $10 per session. How many sessions is the cost the same? So how would you write an equation for Ted's gym? $50 a month plus $20 per session. How would you write that? Any ideas? We know it's automatically going to be $50 plus, how would you write $20 per session? 20 times what letter do I want to use? You can use any variable you'd like. You want to use S for session? Okay, and if we want to figure out for how many sessions would the cost be the same, what symbol should I use for the same? Equal. Equals, how about for Bob's gym? $100 a month, so 100 plus, how do you write $10 per session? 10S. That's how we set that up. Okay, so we just want to figure out how many sessions would you have to go for the cost to be the same if you went to each gym. From here, can you solve that? This is just like what we've been doing, right? Where would you start? Start by moving the 10S because it's smaller. So subtract 10S from both sides. It's called using the additive inverse. Then we have 50 plus, what's 20S minus 10S? 10S equals what? 100. Then where would you go from there? What would you do from there?
Subtract 50.
Subtract the 50, so you want to move the 50. Okay, subtract the 50, and that would give us 10s, this would go away, equals 100 minus 50 gives you what? 50. Finally, how would you get s by itself? Divide both sides by 10. You divide both sides by 10, these reduce, so we get s equals what? 5. So what does that tell you? Does anyone know? 5 sessions, right. So that means if you went to 5 sessions at each gym, you would pay the same amount. Okay, so we're trying to figure out how many sessions would you have to go to pay the same amount at either gym. That's how you do it. Okay? Now, I want to go through together. I want to work through one of the problems in your book. So let's look at page 147, and I want to do the C problem together. I want to do this C problem together. So it says the length of a flag is 0.3 foot less than twice its width. Okay? If the perimeter is 14.4 feet longer than the width, find the dimensions of the flag. That's kind of hard. Okay? So, first thing I want to do is, what kind of shape is a flag usually? A rectangle. So let's draw it. Okay, so let's start by drawing our flag. The length is 0.3 foot less than twice its width. So length is here, right? Width is here. Length is equal to 0.3 foot less than. Anytime you see the word less than, how would you write that? Does anyone know? You write subtract, but anytime you see the word less than, you have to write subtract at the end, okay? So whatever comes after that. So 0.3 is after the subtract. Twice the width. How would you write twice the width? Twice means multiply by what? 2. So that's like 2w. So now instead of length, I'm going to replace this with 2w minus 0.3. We said if the perimeter, so how do you find perimeter of something? Add what? All the sides together? So if the perimeter is 14.4 feet longer than the width, okay, so let's recopy this. So w, this is another width. This is a 2w minus 0.3. If the perimeter is equal to 14.4 feet longer than the width, find the dimensions of the flag. Any ideas? How do you do that? How would you set that up? Say it again. Anybody think they know? How would you set that up? Perimeter, so that means the whole thing added up is 14 feet longer than the width. So that means if you add all of these together, so I'm going to write it over here. Let's add all of them together. So you can start at any point. Okay? So w plus 2w minus 0.3 plus another w plus another 2w plus 0.3. Or excuse me, minus 0.3. If that whole thing, that perimeter, is equal to 14.4 feet longer than, so how would you write longer than? Is that plus or minus the width? Plus the w. So I'm going to rewrite this on this paper because it's a little bit easier. Okay, you can rewrite it if you want to. So we're doing the got it number C, or letter C. Okay, so got it letter C. I'm going to rewrite this. So we had w plus 2w minus 0.3 plus another w plus 2w minus 0.3, and that was equal to 14.4 plus w. How would you solve that? Any ideas? What's the first step that I told you what we have to do when we're solving equations with letters on both sides?
Combine like terms.
Combine the like terms. So on the left side, what are the like terms?
W.
The W's. What's the coefficient or the number in front of this W? A 1. Okay, so you might need to write those in if it helps you. So if we add together all those W's, 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2, what does that give you? 6 W's. What else do we have to combine? The 0.3s. What's negative 0.3 minus another negative 0.3? Negative 0.6. And that equals 14.4 plus W. Where do you think you go from there? We want to move the letters, so move the variables. So which one would you move? So subtract, remember this is a 1W, so subtract 1W from both sides. 6W minus 1W gives you 5W minus 0.6 is equal to 14.4. How do you move the 0.6? Add 0.6. Okay, so add 0.6. These go away, so we got 5W equals, what's 14.4 plus 0.6? 15.0. Do I have to write the 0.0? No, it's the same thing. Then finally, how do I get W by itself? Divide both sides by 5. If you divide both sides by 5, we get W equals what? 3. So here this was asking you find the dimensions of the flag. The width is 3, so if you wanted to, you could plug back in. Okay? I'm not going to make you plug back in right now. Okay? But you can solve for the width. That one is challenging. Okay? But some of your test questions are going to be like that. So be kind of careful. Okay? And then I have one more example for you. Okay, example number 5. Okay, example number 5. Again, this is going to be one where I'm asking you to solve. And I would like you to solve 3/4 x plus 2 equals 7 plus 1/3 x. 3/4 x plus 2 equals 7 plus 1/3 x. What do we see in this problem that we automatically don't like? The fractions. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is eliminate the fraction. Okay, so we want to eliminate the fractions. Eliminate or get rid of. Eliminate fractions. How can you eliminate fractions? Does anyone know? To eliminate fractions, you want to multiply every single part. Okay? Multiply all parts by the two largest denominators multiplied together. Okay, that's kind of the shortcut to get rid of all the fractions. So if you want to get rid of all the fractions, you're going to take the two biggest denominators, and this problem only has two denominators, right? And I want you to multiply those together. So what is 4 times 3? What's 4 times 3? 12. So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply every single part by 12. So we're going to write a 12 next to every single part, even the parts that are not fractions. So multiply every single part by 12. Make sure that when you write these, you don't write them towards the bottom. Okay, you have to write them towards the top. The reason you have to write them towards the top is because if you write it at the bottom, you're not going to realize that it's canceling. The whole reason that we do this is because we want things to cancel out. So can 12 and 4 reduce? These cross reduce and they leave you a what? A 3. Does 12 and 2 reduce? Am I trying to reduce that? No, because those are whole numbers. Remember, we're only reducing a number on the top with a number on the bottom. So the whole numbers you leave alone. What else can reduce here? The 12 and the 3, right? 12 and 3 reduce to leave you a what? A 4. Then you actually multiply everything through. So if you multiply everything through, what's 3 times 3 times x? 9x. Plus, what's 12 times 2? 24 equals, what's 12 times 7? 84. You can do it on the side of your paper if you need to. Plus, what's 4 times 1 times x? 4x. Now that I got rid of the fractions, what would I do? Put the numbers on one side and the letters on the other side. So what would you move first? Subtract the 4x. So move the 4x. You move the 4x. 9x minus 4x gives you what? 5x plus 24 equals 84. These go away. What next? Then move the 24, exactly. So we want to move the 24. So move 24, that leaves you 5x equals what? 60. Then what? Then divide both sides by 5. Does 5 go into 60 evenly? Yes, if you need to, you can do it on the side of your paper. What is 60 divided by 5? 12. That's your answer. Okay, before I let you have some time for homework, I would like you to look at the got it on page 148. Okay, we're going to do these two together. Page 148.
What did the last one say?
Let's look at page 148. We're going to look at E and F. Okay, E and F.
What page did you say?
148. So look at page 148. I would like you to start doing them, and then I will catch up with you in just a second. So I'm going to write them on a larger piece of paper. So you get started on those. I want to see if you can, let's see if we can get the same answers. So for problem E, what would you want to multiply everything by to get rid of the 2 and the 4 on the bottom? What would you multiply everything by? Multiply by 8? Okay. If you multiply everything through by 8, multiply all the parts by 8. Okay, what happens here? 8 and the 2 on the bottom reduce to give you what? A 4. Leave this one alone. And 8 and 4 reduce to give you what? A 2. Then you actually multiply through. So 4 times 1 times p gives you what? 4p plus, what's 8 times 7? 56 equals 2 times 3 times p is what? 6p plus what? 72. Then which way would you move things? You want to move the 4p first. So subtract the 4p. You subtract that. These eliminate. You got 56 equals 6 minus 4p gives you 2p plus 72. Then what? Subtract the 72. This one's a little bit tricky. What's 56 minus 72? If you have different signs, what do you actually have to do? Subtract and keep the sign of the larger. So you actually need to write 72 minus 56, but you know that your answer is going to be negative. If you do 72 minus 56, what does that give you? 16, but you know it's going to be negative. Then divide everything, and you'll get what? Negative 8 is your answer. So these are getting a little bit more complicated, okay? But these are the kind of problems that you're going to see on your test. Okay, and then the last one for F, what would you multiply through to get rid of all of those numbers on the bottom, all those denominators? What would eliminate a 4, a 2, a 4, and an 8? What would eliminate a 4, a 2, a 4, and an 8? 2 goes into all of them, but what would cancel them all out? 16 could work, or 8 could work. So you always want to look at the biggest denominator and figure out if that denominator just by itself would cancel out all the other ones. Okay? If it doesn't, then you want to think of a bigger number. Okay, so here, yes, you could multiply everything by 8. So you're going to write 8 next to every single part. Then cross reduce. So 8 and 4 leaves behind a what? A 2. 8 and 2 leaves behind a 4. 8 and 4 we said leaves behind a 2. And 8 and 8 leaves behind a what? A 1. Then you have to multiply. So what's 2 times negative 5 times C? Negative 10C. 4 times negative times 1. 4 times negative 1 is what? Minus 4 equals, what's 2 times negative 3? Negative 6. And then 1 times 5 times C is what? Plus 5C. Then how would you move your numbers? Would you want to move the 10C or the 5C? You want to move the 5C? Okay, so subtract 5C. Subtract again. What's negative 10 and negative 5? Negative 15C minus 4 equals negative 6. These go away. Then what happens? Add 4, so move the 4 to the opposite side. That leaves you with negative 15C equals what? What's negative 6 and positive 4? Oops. Negative 2. And then what's your last step here? Divide by the negative 15. What happens when you divide by the negative there? Negative, negative becomes positive, so these will cancel each other out. The negatives cancel each other out, and you just get 2 over 15. So that one's kind of complicated. Okay? Does anyone have any questions that you need to see worked out anymore? Okay, make sure you write this down. Your homework is going to be starting on page 149, and you're doing numbers 1 through 10 and 15 through 20. 1 through 10 and 15 through 20.